Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome into your number one source for Native American television news. It's Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman from the Mvskoke Media Studios here, as we are ready for this week's episode. And lots of things to get to here at Mvskoke Media this week. You know, we're kind of past the festival. We hope that everybody enjoyed last week and us sort of getting our wind back and getting started doing the show the second half of the year. Really, that festival kind of, you know, really marks the middle of the year for us, and we got so many things leading up to it. And then afterwards, business as usual here at Native News Today. So with that being said, it's a business as usual episode this week. We've got a lot of great content, not just content, but great content here for you this week. We'll talk with the Mvskoke Creek Nation Tax Commissioner concerning a recent bill passed at the state legislature, what it means for Mvskoke Creek Nation and what it means in general. We'll also go over campaign finance here at Mvskoke Creek Nation. How is it working? A bill introduced, passed by council, and now we look to Mvskoke Media to see how it is working since it's been passed. Also, we will take a look at Honey Springs Battlefield. They have a big commemoration coming up, a memorial service. More Creeks fought in that Civil War battle than any other battle in history. So it's a wonderful look back there, an homage to our history of service. And we can't forget fireworks. We'll have a treat for you there at the end of the episode. So all of that and more, don't go anywhere. Stay with us through this first break. You're watching Native News Today. And welcome back to the program as we get started this week with our content and Mvskoke Media. Definitely with the election coming up of the National Council seats, we wanted to take a look at all of our election coverage, and as part of that, wanted to look at campaign finance, especially with a relatively new bill introduced into Mvskoke Creek Nation Code. What basically we wanted to do was get an update on where the campaign finance bill is, how it's working. And so we contacted several different people, actually heard back from the controller, Linda Rowe, about her responsibility on that. And actually right before we came on set here, we received word back from Principal Chief James Floyd. He was actually traveling last week, but we received word from him right before we came on set that he would be open to an interview today. So we should have that on the website at the time that you're watching this and on next week's episode. So here is an update on campaign finance here at Mvskoke Creek Nation.
2017 is an election year at Mvskoke Creek Nation, with the candidate filing period from July 17 through July 20. Mvskoke Media will have continuing coverage of the democratic process at the MCN throughout the year leading up to the September 16 primary election and beyond. May 19, 2015, the National Council passed NCA 15-081, a law of the Mvskoke Creek Nation creating a new chapter under MCN-CA Title 37 entitled the Campaign Finance Disclosure Act, and to establish a Public Officials Ethics Commission. The purpose of this act was to establish a Public Officials Ethics Commission and codify the provisions of the Campaign Finance Disclosure Act. This commission consists of 3 members, one appointed by the Principal Chief, one appointed by the National Council Speaker, and the final member who is selected by the previous appointees. These appointees are mandated in the legislation to be selected within 30 days of the enactment of the law, with the principal chief's appointee serving a 2-year term, the speaker's appointee a 4-year term, and the third appointee a 6-year term. After these initial terms are up, all successive terms become 6-year terms. The Public Officials Ethics Commission is responsible for production, distribution, collection, and preservation of the campaign contributions and expenditure reports required by MCN law to be filed by candidates. Physical copies of these reports are to be held by the POEC for 6 years, after which they are required to be archived digitally. These reports are required to be kept for public review, and physical copies provided for a fee. A list of candidates that are delinquent in filing these reports to the Commission is required to be posted for public view at the Office of the Secretary of the Nation and Commerce. The full language of NCA 15-081 can be found at www.creeksupremecourt.com. Since the passing of this legislation, elections have taken place for both the MCN National Council and Principal Chief, and consequently, there should be reports on record for these elections made available for public viewing. On June 29th, Mvskoke Media received a statement from Linda Rowe, the controller of the Mvskoke Creek Nation, saying, quote, "As of today, we have not received any budgetary information from the Commission. Once we do receive the Commission's budget, depending on the timing, we will either include it in the CAB or ask for a special appropriation," end quote. Mvskoke Media was then contacted on June 30th by Principal Chief James Floyd in order to schedule an interview regarding NCA 15-081. As of press time, Mvskoke Media has not been able to schedule this interview. Mvskoke Media has also not received any statement from National Council Speaker Lucian Tiger concerning the Ethics Commission.
Well, there you have it. I want to thank Jared Moore for putting that together again. Great information there on campaign finance. And also, we will have further interviews and comments on this topic, as we said, right before we came on set today. Wasn't able to get it to you this week, but Principal Chief James Floyd getting back to us through email and granting an interview. So, should have that online. You can go check that out now on our YouTube page. If you want to wait till next week on the show, we'll have it then as well. So a lot of great information coming from Mvskoke Media as it pertains to this subject and the election as a whole. So definitely stay with us on all our outlets. Well, our next feature takes us just down the road to Shakota, Oklahoma, in some historic acreage out there. They call it the battlefield, Honey Springs Battlefield. Honey Springs, the Battle of Honey Springs in the Civil War, very significant. Most minorities fighting in that battle than any other battle in the Civil War. So we wanted to go and talk with them about commemorating that event.
It's the 154th anniversary of the Battle of Honey Springs, and it commemorates those who fought and died here on July 17, 1863. It'll take place at 10:30 on July 15th. We'll have the presentation of colors outside, and immediately following will be a presentation by Dr. James Fink from the University of Science and Arts in Chickasha, and he will provide a talk on the importance of Civil War battlefields in the United States. I am new, and the people here who put this together and made this happen, the Oklahoma Historical Society, especially the Friends of Honey Springs, has been a vision of theirs since 1964 when they acquired the land to open up the battle site to the people. Well, this is the only battle or engagement where there were more minorities fighting than any other in the entire Civil War. There were African Americans, American Indians, including those of the 5 civilized tribes, the Creeks, the Seminoles, Choctaw, Chickasaw, everybody and they fought on both sides. And so they fought for their freedoms here, and it all converged in this one place called Honey Springs. No, this is the largest Civil War battle site in what is now Oklahoma, and you know, there were skirmishes, engagements, and other actually 107 documented, approximately 107 documented skirmishes and engagements in what is now Oklahoma. But this is the one conflict in what was then Indian territory that where you know, the fight for Indian territory between the Confederacy and the Union ultimately led to the Union's control throughout the remainder of the Civil War. And right here in Renniesville is a wonderful example of that. It's one of 13 all African American towns left in Oklahoma, and this is Creek. This is within the Creek Nation area, and that's where the battle was fought. And you had Mvskoke Creeks fighting for the 1st Indian Home Guard for the Union. That was a section of the many of those who fought for the Union had been those who fled north to Kansas and Missouri, and they wanted to go back and take their homes. And so they fought for the Union on that side, and then the Confederacy, they had the 1st and 2nd Creek regiments, and Chile McIntosh, as I alluded to earlier, represented the 2nd. Yeah, absolutely. We're very excited about the center opening in November. The center is actually open to the public, but the exhibits are being constructed at the moment. The grand opening for those exhibits more than likely will take place on the same weekend as our reenactment, which is November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and it'll be wonderful. I encourage everybody to come out, and also the memorial service itself, after the talk by Dr. James Fink, there will be a light lunch open to the public, free to the public, and then an annual meeting of the Friends of the Honey Springs Battlefield. And all visitors are welcome.
And thanks again to Adam Lynn, all the good people over there at the Honey Springs Battlefield site. As part of the Oklahoma Historical Society, they do a great job over there. And that all-new visitor center, man, it's impressive. We got to just see a little bit of it, and it's very empty right now, but it will open up in November, and they're very excited about that. So we'll probably have an update with them in November on that, and be looking forward to that as well. Our next feature is with Mvskoke Creek Nation Tax Commissioner, former Oklahoma State Representative, just an all-around rascal. A good friend of mine, Mr. Jerry Mcpeak, and a lot of people know Jerry. A lot of people hear Jerry before he walks into a room, but no, he's a great guy, and he works under the Tax Commission here at Mvskoke Creek Nation. Granted us an interview to talk about State Bill 845, which is basically called the Tobacco Fees Bill. And with our smoke shops, everything like that, it's pertinent to Mvskoke Creek Nation, so we wanted to talk to him about this bill.
You stated it correctly when they called it a fee. That's really interesting. I'm not sure that you want me to go into that. But they made it a fee so they could avoid calling it a tax, because it took a lot more votes. It took 76 votes to pass it as a tax in the House of Representatives. It only took 51 votes to pass it as a fee. So therefore they made a fee out of it. First off, even in the times when I was state representative up there, about 8 years before I got there, this shortfall, people, they seem to be led to believe that, well, this shortfall just happened this year. It's like going broke. You probably didn't go broke from one decision. You probably went broke because you made bad decisions for a long time. And that's what happened up there. Years ago, we quit having a balanced budget. We would borrow money from the rainy day fund, which if you're borrowing money out of your savings account, I would say your budget's not balanced, wouldn't you? Because you're borrowing money out of your savings account. Then they also took money from one-time funds that they would take out of other little pockets of money that they found. They would do that. So it wasn't a balanced budget. wasn't a balanced budget for probably 10 years before we got to this situation. But just like you lose a little bit, you lose a little bit, and so you're 200,000 debt this year, and 300,000 debt next year, and 400,000 debt next year. And ma'am, the 900,000, that's really not true. It's about 1.25 billion. So they have fuzzy math. Maybe they need to go back to public schools, tell us to make private schools and charter schools. First off, the law, if it takes effect, won't take effect until August 25th. And second, there has been, a lawsuit filed to stop it. And no one, and I mean no one knows, including the state tax commissioner, who I just talked to a week ago, knows how that's going to turn out. And until they find out how that's going to turn out, we don't know what's really going to happen. But we worked very hard, and we predicted, I think I even told you guys, we predicted a year ago that they were going to attempt to do it, and it wasn't going to happen. They were going to make it a fee. So we started very early in visiting with people in the House of Representatives and the Senate as well. If you're going to do a fee, you write it up correctly. And they did. They wrote it up correctly where it would not negatively impact the compact at all. I can tell you a little bit about it because a little bit's all I know about it. One of our wholesalers is actually involved and has named themselves in the lawsuit as one of the complainants. Beyond that, I really don't know. I think it's being funded by a group that they are called like petroleum companies or something, but they're really a consortium of convenience stores, convenient chains that are doing it. Well, I used to ask them when I was in the state legislature, would you please tell me the difference between a fee and a tax? I mostly think it's the way you spell it, because it's a tax, and it really is a tax, and they're right about that, in my opinion. But guess what? My opinion doesn't count, because I'm not going to, they're going to be appealing to in front of the judge. Neither was I in the state legislature, so my opinion really doesn't count. But they probably have a pretty legitimate discussion about that, because if half of it is a tax and the other half is a fee, what's the difference? Is it all fees or is it all taxes? And they have a lot of argument. They're saying, well, because it's specified for a certain use, that it can be a fee. Because it's a fee we're going to charge for this use. So they have arguments on the other side too, that it's a fee because it's specified for something in particular, so therefore it's legal. Well, obviously, we don't know how it's going to affect the nation because we don't know what's going to happen. And anyone that states that they know what's going to happen has themselves very misinformed. Because until the lawsuit is settled, we don't know. The judge could decide to put a stay on it. He could decide to put a hold on the law taking effect. He could say, well, he could just throw it out, in which case then it takes effect. So to tell you how it's going to affect the nation, I really can't, because I don't know what's going to happen. And anyone else that says they know what's going to happen has got themselves misinformed and is misinforming other people. I think if you talk to the state tax commissioner himself, he has to make preparations like it's going to take effect, which is going to cost him lots of dollars in manpower. And if it doesn't take effect, then they waste all that money. But he can't afford not to do that, because on August 25th, it may take effect, in which case he has to be prepared for it to take effect. So it's going to affect them. It's going to make them spend money that we don't need to be spending. The fact that we're having to defend another lawsuit for unconstitutionality, which happens multiple times, which, by the way, for what it's worth, the only group that was given a lot more money this year was, guess what? The Attorney General's office. Like, they increased their budget by 50% while everyone else is going broke and having money for schools. But their budget's increased 50%. You think it might be because they were anticipating lawsuits about unconstitutionality of this law and several others? Maybe. Yeah, we're still under the same law that we were always under. We're still under the same agreement we're always under. So it's business as usual for us. But we would obviously like to know that, because it would change the way some of our retailers would do business.
And that'll do it for another episode of Native News Today. And we want to thank you all out there for joining us this week. And I have a special thanks for our crew this week, really hustling on a short week. We were out Monday and Tuesday, of course, for the 4th of July holiday. And so Jared really done a lot of hustling to get everything going, and Devaney as well, getting some of these stories edited up. So want to thank the crew for sure, doing a great job this week, making sure that you all have a fresh episode with fresh content, no reruns here, and we try and do our best to make sure that you have a new episode each week. And that's one of the things that we take a lot of pride in here at Native News Today. So, and as we said earlier in the program, we have some content online that wasn't able to make it this week in the show, as far as with some deadlines and things like that we had with the principal chief of the Mvskoke Creek Nation, James Floyd, getting back in touch with us just a little bit before or after our deadline that we could put it on the air this week. But the great thing is, folks, as I tell you every time when we leave each week, go to our YouTube channel, go to our online channel. This is why it's so important that you not only go there, but become a subscriber, hit the red button, and get our content as it becomes uploaded. You get it right then and there. It's fresh, it's new, as soon as we upload it. And when we go get things, we bring it back, cut it up, and try to put it out on our outlets as soon as we can. So you're getting it just about as fast as we can produce it. And we will have comments and an interview with Chief Floyd regarding the campaign finance. We want to hear from him, and I know the citizens do as well, with the campaign coming up and the elections for national council members and things like that. So we will have that online, and you will be able to see it on next week's show. But for now, if you're at home, go check the YouTube channel, subscribe. You'll get everything that we upload as it becomes uploaded. You'll get a notification, so it's a great resource to have, especially for the folks that like to watch the program and enjoy our program out of the viewing area of our normal CW19 audience here in the Tulsa area. So everybody out there, I hope that you all had a great week. And like I said, we want to thank everybody for making the show. Not only the guys here in front of the camera and behind the camera and behind the scenes, but also the subjects this week that we went and interviewed. Want to thank them all for enjoying and having us on the program and everything like that. So we have a special treat for you as we leave you this week. As I said, it is a holiday week, 4th of July, and everybody has a great time in and around Indian country and Creek country. Definitely a big fireworks display here in Alt-Malgi, and we had the pleasure of having a staff member here, Jared Moore, going out and being able to get some of those fireworks. So as we leave you this week, enjoy the fireworks show, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time right here on Native News Today.